Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day in Chautauqua County, especially since down in Westfield we only had 4 inches of snow. The heck of it is, though, there was a rain prior to the freeze, and everything is slick. All the cars are covered with ice. You've got to go out and defrost your car. But everything's going well, and we have a lot of great things happening. We've got a terrific guest who comes in regularly, and he presents himself before the public for questions live anytime you want, between 9 and 10 on Saturday. And his name is well-known, Fred Crosscut. And Fred, I certainly appreciate you giving your Saturday mornings up all the time.
Appreciate being here.
Well, it's great to hear from the legislature straight from the horse's mouth. Whatever.
We appreciate
I guess
that.
it was a cow's mouth. You were a big cattle rancher for a long time.
we were
Yeah.
a dairy farmer.
Yeah.
Still have it in my heart.
Okay. It's the milk of human kindness.
Yes.
We also have some guest stars who are coming in to talk briefly. We have with us Linda Spalding, who is the definitely one of the superstars of our county. She runs a lot of senior programs, and she is the wife of the recently passed away Doug Spalding. She's going to talk a little about him. He's been on our guest. He's been a fixture on Senior Report for almost 20 years, and God bless him. He was a well-known, terrific guy everybody loved. All right, now we have lots of things going on in the county, in the state, and everywhere. Well, the state, of course, Cuomo passed a gun law, which he whipped through in the middle of the night. They actually voted a little later. They didn't even see the bill prior to voting for more than a few minutes, and that's a minor exaggeration, but it was outrageous the way they did it. There's supposed to be a public period of when the public can react and speak. It should go through committee so they can do work on it. This stupid bill was put through without even exempting the police. 7 shots in your clip, that's it. You can not buy ammunition anymore without going through the big check. You can't sell a gun to your next door neighbor or friend or anybody distantly in the family even without going through the check. It's craziness what they've done, and it's a total violation of the federal Constitution, the Second Amendment, and a total violation because not only was this whipped through without the public knowledge or public information period, without the committees, but it is retroactive. It goes back to guns you bought in the past. It's unconstitutional all the way around. It's being sued. They're being sued right and left. And the governor did this to basically improve his chances to be president, according to all the pundits about it. Strictly political. Outrageous the way this legislature is doing this kind of thing. And incidentally, I want to point out with great pride, Andy Goodell, who is our assemblyman, and our state senator, Kathy Young, both voted against it. Said this is outrageous. We have other things going on that are outrageous. I think we'll spend a little more time. We've got Fred Crosscut here, and he knows everything that's outrageous. he'll talk about it. And we have we're going to be talking about the nursing home, which is a hot button issue in Chautauqua County, and there may be some kind of funny things going on. We'll have to check that out. But in the meantime, I've got some great senior news for you. I want to just briefly go this. First of all, Westfield has a stray cat rescue, and it's on Main Street right next to the, right on the corner of Market and Main Street in Westfield. That's on Route 20, and you can't miss it. And they have a wonderful bunch of properly taken care of. They all have all their inoculations. They've been spayed and neutered or fixed or whatever you want. They've all been loved, and they're all happy cats that get along with everybody. You can get them from kittens to older cats. And they're having a $10 off the adoption fee. They have a very modest adoption fee. You know, to have a cat fixed or spayed, it costs $100, and the shots can run you $60. They only charge $40, period, and they're taking $10 off that for Valentine's Day week. So go on over there and pick up give somebody some little wonderful cat a lifetime friend and home. There's nothing more friendly and happy than a cuddly cat that'll sit in your lap, and then when you go to bed, jump in your bed and cuddle up next to you. And they're good for 25 years, some of them. I've got one that's 18, Benny. All right. $10 off the adoption fee at the Thrifty Kitty, 59 East Main Street. And if you want to call them and ask them if they have a multicolored cat or a black cat or a green cat or whatever you're looking for, call them at 326-2404. 326-2404. I want a cat. I had 5 of them a couple of years ago, and that wasn't enough. I wanted more. Okay. Senior Report has likes to skim the news and bring in some little tidbits of information, goodies from the senior clubs, and we have the best senior clubs in the world up here on the county level, the town level, the church level, any kind of level you want. There are senior groups, and you can join one in a wink and have the time of your life. You have a second family, a huge support group. It's fantastic. If you don't already belong to one, join one now, no matter what your age. You know, many of them will take kids on their trips. They don't have a limited age. And incidentally, many of them cross boundaries. You know, Mayville people go to Westfield, Westfield people go to Brockton, Brockton people go to Mayville. You can go wherever you want, really. I just wanted to note that the Dunkirk Senior is very active. They have a beautiful place. Indoor running through the halls. They have a running track. It's fantastic. And they just gave some dough to the rural ministry. And that's a group that really puts out food and care and love for the people that need it. They're making reservations for the February gala, and it's a great big meal. And you know, they meet every couple of weeks. They ask you to bring a dish to pass, and you know, your own spoons and stuff. They got 2 new carpet runners donated by Jana Katzbrick, and they're placed at each doorway. And the construction in the aging office began on January 14th. Nancy Crandall says anyone who wants to join the seniors to play pinochle on Monday afternoon at the center is welcome. They have a big bingo, February 20th, March 20th, April 17th, and May 15th. Complimentary lunch served at 4:30. Hey. Exercise programs over there. Dunkirk Seniors have everything. They even have yoga, I might add. All right, let me see. I got some more news here. I got to lick my fingers here. They're going to Atlantic City in August. Yeah, if you want to go, get some dough in. They're doing free income tax, RSVP, in February on Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 3 at the center. Call the center to schedule an appointment. new senior aide in charge of, they have their Dunkirk lunch site there too, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and new diners are welcome. Come on over. February, here we go. The next meeting is coming up regularly, we'll put it that way. Now, the Great Bell Seniors has yoga too. You know, they have a new yoga class, so you can't beat that. Bring your own yoga mats and bands. I wish somebody would tell me what a yoga band is, but I don't know. You marching band? They have knitting, crocheting circle, which meets on Wednesdays, and they have great things. Got a big donation of books from the Thrifty Reader Bookshop on West Main Road, and they're in large print, a lot of them. Any senior can check them out from any center. You don't have to be a member. All righty. They're looking for people. They got great bus trips, a 4-day trip to the Pennsylvania Rail Adventure. You know, all the seniors have these terrific trips. They're cheap, they're fun, they're incredibly smooth, and they have these giant buses with a clean bathroom. Not like Amtrak. Lakeshore Seniors, they also meet at the Dunkirk Senior Center, and it's, you know, they have a lot of space and place there. And I just want to say there'll be no meeting. They wanted this announced on January 23rd. Well, that's passed, so we don't have to worry about it, do we? You're welcome, guys. All right, I have another note here, too. Happy birthday to Antoinette Arnon, Barbara Barber, Sandy Tapacito, Ann Warner, and Dorothy Kornacki. Both of them? Oh, why not? Silver Creek has a bunch called the Mount Carmel Seniors, and it goes on and on. They're telling me my time is up. I keep getting the button. And all right, I'm sorry, my time may be up, but I still want to mention the Sinclairville crowd who meets usually in the fire hall. God bless the fire department. And they have a new president. Elaine Palmer-Titus was the old president, and she says, 10 years, it seems like forever and ever and ever. New president's Margie McIntyre. Congratulations, Margie, for doing the job. Titus has done the job for so long. Oh, boy. All right, enough. Next meeting over there at the Sinclairville Fire Hall Dining Room is on Tuesday, February the 12th. There you go. Almost St. Valentine's Day. Lots of things happening. I'm going to take a brief note here. We have a public service announcement for you, and then we'll be right back with Linda Spaulding. Here you go. This is for you, I think.
Everyone is a story. Everyone. He passed away last year. It was hard at first when I found out how sick he was. The doctor suggested hospice care at home. He came home, and that was wonderful. And hospice helped a great deal. They were there whenever we needed them. They helped me take care of him. I didn't know. I didn't know where to start, what to do, what his needs were going to be. As the illness got worse and worse, they were there with help and suggestions and just how to do it, how to cope with it. They made his last months comfortable, pain-free, which was a blessing. We were able to find some joy till the very end.
I got to make a comment. They do a great job. Although I had the director of hospice on one time, and I said, well, what do you do for the patient? He said, whatever the patient asks us to do, we do it. I said, what if I say, off me? I'm tired of this. Off me. I said, we wouldn't do that. We have a great guest who's here all the time, off and on, does a job for the seniors, a local gal, much admired by all the people in the area. And her name is Linda Spaulding, and she has a few words to say to us. Here you go, Linda, you're on.
Well, thank you, Reed. Good morning, and thank you for having me on your show, Reed. I want to extend my gratitude and appreciation to everyone here on Channel 5 for their memorials and their kind words. We really appreciate what everyone has done here. And in the community, the response has been so positive and so sympathetic. Thank you, everyone that has given memorials, sent cards, expressed their sympathy and appreciation for Doug. I do want to mention that hospice is a wonderful organization. I think that's really kind of prophetic that would come on right before I would give my little talk. They are wonderful. They go above and beyond anything that you could ever anticipate or expect.
How long was Doug ill?
Well, he got very ill with his collapsed lung, which was almost 2 years ago. But we got hospice services about 2 weeks before he died. And I just can't tell you how dedicated they are. You can call them any time, any hour of the day or night, and they are there. For people who want to be in their home and cared there, it's a wonderful service. I can't say enough good things about hospice. I wanted to give a little testimony about Doug. Some of you may remember when various members of the community or people who were involved in Channel 5 or various things, he would read a poem or say something in appreciation for the person who had passed on. I would like to say something about him and read a poem that he wrote. I'd also like to mention that he was so enthusiastic about Channel 5, the free cable access, because one of the things that he thought was so magnificent was the fact that it's uncensored. It's so different than what you get in your large media services. We're very fortunate to have this, and we should do everything we can to maintain it. It really is a tremendous privilege to have this, and thank you to all the Channel 5 volunteers. But he was very happy about the success of this, and he worked diligently with other key members when it first started so that we could have this in our community. You probably know all of the people that were connected with that. Nonetheless, I have a poem I'd like to read that Doug wrote quite a few years ago. It was in the early 80s. He wrote it for a passion play that he put on at St. Mary's in Mayville, which is now known as St. Mary's of Lourdes. One thing about Doug is that not only is he my favorite teacher, he inspired people to be able to do things that they didn't think they were quite able to do. And I, for the first time in my life, took a part in his play, and I was very happy that I did it. But this is the play that he wrote, or the poem that he wrote for the play. It was on the cover of his program. We live in the beginning of the birth of a dream. Our dyings are but a new coming to life. Our hopes and our fears tread water midstream. Creation lies hidden in the depths of the strife. Dawn is approaching. Hold fast, don't despair. Love's ghosts are now singing and filling the air. Do not mistake it, this new life for death. Let it come, yes, embrace it, a fresh living breath. It will come not from one, nor in two, but in three. It glides past crucifixion to the living tree. It pauses a moment, then opens the door, and Christ's living feet are heard on the floor. Composed by Doug Spalding for St. Mary's Passion Play.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
He will be greatly missed, Doug Spalding. Thank you. We are, at this point, I want to introduce our guest, and then we'll have a speaker who wants to talk a little bit about the home. Our speaker today and our guest who comes in regularly gives up to Saturday mornings for the public in Chautauqua County, and we're in Jamestown, live, all over the county, everywhere now.
Beautiful.
And his name is Fred Crosscut. Fred, I guess you don't need really much introduction. You're pretty well known here. How long have you been in the legislature now?
I think 1998 I was elected. And
Long
served about
time.
14 years, 15 years, yeah.
How long do you can just go on as long as you want, right?
Well, we have to run every 2 years for election, and
Right.
unfortunately this year, for me, we're redistricting, and we'll have to drop to 19. So I'll have to again run against one of my good friends in the Mina area, and but there's some other races too, and you're going to reduce from 25 legislators to 19. Someone has to run against someone, so I haven't enjoyed it.
I certainly wish you luck. I suspect that with your number of years you've been your seniority, you probably will be a winner.
You never take anything for
No,
granted.
you run like the devil is
Yes.
chasing you,
Yeah.
even though you're a solid shoe-in,
Yeah.
having run myself in the past.
I appreciate your kind words.
Okay. Well, Fred, we have many different issues that we have to talk about, but one of the things is probably that is paramount in the county is the sale of our county home. We've had that for almost over a century, but not there. It had moved.
Right.
We had the county farm in DeWittville.
We
many
do.
Years.
I remember that.
I do
over to
too.
My parents.
And they raised their own crops there.
They sure did.
And it was quite a thing. Then they bought they built the hospital,
Yep.
and it's there now. It looks like we're trying to sell it. There's a big cross current of disagreement in the county on that, and the legislature, I guess, voted against selling it.
We only by one vote.
By one
and
vote,
it will be coming back up again this next month.
What do they do with the original vote that was against selling it?
Well, they're just going to do what they call renew the resolution.
So you keep voting on it until you get the right vote?
Well, no, what we do, obviously, it will come to the floor, and we hope that through more research that our Mr. Barmore has done, we have talked to representatives from Pima County. We will be hopefully getting letters of their satisfaction with the sale to Mr. Rothner. Vince Horrigan has done a tremendous amount of legwork on this. It's unfortunate that the tape was made. There was a lot of misinformation in that tape that was made. All the kind words and knowledge that Vince Horrigan had brought to the discussion were eliminated from the tape. But we are losing $8,000 a day on that county home. We have had 14 stipulations in that sale. We had 35 different people interested in purchasing our county home. We only had 2 bids. We know that no one there that is employed now will lose their job. We know that the purchaser has made very clear all those 14 requirements that we had for sale. We only hope, we feel that overwhelmingly the county as a whole wants to do the right thing, eliminate the burden on Chautauqua County and the expense of the county home, turn it over to someone that will enhance the county home, offer more services at the county home, keep people employed. And so we'll be bringing it back this month to hopefully get another vote and sell it on the market, and hopefully within the next 12 to 18 months it would be turned over to Abby Rothner.
Okay, we're going to have a brief editorial moment. They asked me if they could come forward, and we have with us Kathy Snyder, who is an actual employee over there.
Good.
And Kathy, where were you raised? Were you around here? Or?
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk, yeah, all your life?
Dunkirk, yes, all my life.
So you're a local county lady, huh?
Yes, yes, yeah.
And where'd you go to school?
I've got several degrees. I've got 2 master's degrees, and
Oh,
I've
my
got
God.
a bachelor's degree. So I've
Professional.
been around.
Professional student. Well, now, Kathy, what do you do over there at the county home?
I'm a physical therapist, one
Physical
of the therapists.
therapist.
Yeah.
That's one of the big funders, big money raisers too, is the therapy, right?
It could be.
From,
It could be very lucrative. Yes.
And you have 80% of the people over there, according to the paper, are on Medicaid. In other words,
Yes.
You can't get. They have a few beds in a regular nursing home for Medicaid, but you can't get in. It's pretty hard anyway to get in on Medicaid, meaning that you're totally indigent and don't have a pot to cook in. Whatever.
I was hoping you said that.
Yeah. Okay, so Kathy, tell us what brings you over here. You have something. You have a few things you wanted to say. Anything in particular?
Well, I'm concerned about the sale, as you know. One thing that we've all talked about is this assisted living and independent living and an entire campus at the county home area there. Other county facilities have made agreements with private facilities to come in and offer these services, so they have a full campus yet still keeping the county home.
Yeah, well, we had Andy Goodell on. I asked him about that. He said the state law prohibits the county home from having a
Right.
assisted living, but you could have another company do the assisted living right next door,
Right.
and it works out fine. And this is where the buck is that assisted living.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
And our concern also is the Medicaid population. How will this be served? I know they're talking about, they went to Pima County. Well, anybody can have a showplace facility. I did some research as well, and I think it was Pima County that I looked into. The original Pima County Medicaid numbers were higher than the current numbers. So I believe there was a reduction in the number of Medicaid patients at that facility. This isn't a criticism. It's just a fact that private, especially investor-owned private facilities, need to make money. So in order to make money, they have to cut wherever they can. So they're going to not waste time and effort on people that don't bring in a lot of money. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, the employees, when these people are hired, they are hired and they are on the brink of poverty, a lot of these people. There's studies out there that show that they're making minimum wage or just slightly above minimum wage. They have to rely on government-sponsored programs to have a decent quality of life. They apply for WIC. They apply for forms of Medicaid. They apply for Child Care Plus. So instead of taking this money and spending it locally, they are fully recycling it locally, it is going to investor profits. And in this case, it'll be out of the state. So I really have concerns about that as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You think the county home will be sold? There was a vote not to sell it, but Fred tells us they can just redo the vote.
Well, that saddens me, because I feel that we have not investigated every avenue to keep the facility open.
Is there any way
and
to
make
keep it
money.
financially solvent? Well, it doesn't have to be solvent. I mean, you could dedicate a few dollars to your seniors who built this county and
Right.
who are indigent. They're broke. That's why they're there. All right, whatever. Okay, is that about it?
Well, I wanted to tell people about the repatriation that's going on in New York State.
Sure.
There are approximately 800 patients, it could be more now, that have had to leave New York State and be placed in facilities outside of the state. These are people that have had Alzheimer's disease and other behavioral issues. And a lot of the facilities here will not take them. They won't take them because they are not paid enough. So they're leaving the state, but here's the irony of it. The Medicaid rates for these people, once they leave the state, can be negotiated. So New York State taxpayers are paying 50 to over 100% more to care for these residents out of state. So my thought on this was, well, how ridiculous. $78 million, why don't we make our county homes these specialty care centers, keep the money within the state, and offer a better quality of life to the residents that live here and the people that are employed by the facilities.
No, so that's the catchword, repatriation, where they whip them out of state because nobody will take them here. Our wonderful Congress, Fred, they're voting to cut the nursing homes back 10% under Medicaid, if you can believe that.
I can believe it.
Okay, well, Kathy, I certainly appreciate you dropping around. Will you hang around?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great, because you gotta wait for me to go home. Thanks a lot, Kathy. I'm going to be stopping at the fire department here in Mayville. They have a program over there where they will give you medical devices, wheelchairs, bathing seats in the bathtub, and various other things for people who are medically handicapped seriously. And it's a peanut rate. It's 50 cents a day or something, and for the first 90 days, if you're a resident, it's only, it's nothing, it's free. So I'm going to stop off and pick up some stuff for my wife. All right, enough said. Time is up. Fred Crosscut, did you ever think you'd be on, for one thing?
No, I appreciate it. I tell you, we have so much to talk about, and Kathy, I appreciate your comments. And I just see the assisted living being a tremendous asset to the North County. I see Rothner purchasing it, expanding that, and obviously, Reed, as you touched on, the county simply cannot do it. Kathy didn't mention the CGR report, but the legislature voted to take 80 grand out of the county home budget to do a CGR report.
Well, what's that?
Well, that was a report by an independent consultant, I guess, Kathy is the best word. They sat down with the county home employees, the committee, and they came up with their recommendations, and their recommendation is it's virtually impossible for the county to make money with the county home based on any concessions the employees, and we have great employees in the county home, that they could possibly make. So we had to do that study before we really voted on the county home. So the assisted living, I think, could be enhanced. As far as Medicaid, I think that Rothner is very much aware of this. He's going to agree to keep the 80% Medicaid population there now. I really can't touch on the investor profits and those sorts of things, but any time that you do privatize something, obviously
They got to make money.
They got to make money. But we know that we just simply can't make money. The other thing that concerns me is the fact that some of us remember Manor Oak in Jamestown. Manor Oak was being sold, or tried to be sold, just as I got on the legislature. The state, with their different Medicaid reimbursements, their managed care they're coming out with, you alluded to what they're trying to do to seniors, we could, and it's hard to believe, we could lose the beds at the county home. And the state could come in, and I want to bring it up just to touch on it, because that is a concern. You know, by the time we maybe went out and re-advertised for another person to buy the county home, because I know Mrs. Cornell has said, well, she would vote to sell it, but just not to Mr. Rothner. I really believe Mr. Rothner is a good person, but I touch on this because once we vote to sell it, it's going to take 12 to 18 months to get a certificate of need and get all this changed over. The state could come in, and I hope this doesn't happen, I hate to say it, but the truth of the matter is they could come in and say, Chautauqua County, you've got enough beds, and that certificate of need could go by. Now, what would that be county home be?
Our government, the state government in their wisdom, limited, no more, they passed a law that could be no more Medicaid beds 30 years ago.
Well, and they're still messing around with it.
There's still no more Medicaid beds.
And
okay, I got a couple of calls. You want to take
that's fine, but then I want to touch on the other thing that you're saying is hidden in this, because there is a way of doing this with 13 votes, but I want people to understand, and I just lay it out there because that's something we really don't want to do. But go ahead, I'll take the call.
You want the call?
Sure.
Caller, you're on.
Well, I would like to know why the gas well there was not dug for the heating of the Chautauqua County nursing home. That is a beautiful thing. If we lose that, we lose the whole county. Thank you.
Yep, that's a great question, ma'am, and I'm happy to answer it. And there's been a lot of controversy on that. But unfortunately, the gas well, if it was a private investor, it would help reduce his heating cost. But what we do in the county home, if we were to take that gas well and hook it up, we would lose reimbursement from Medicaid because we can't own the gas well and charge it to ourselves and end up getting money back in reimbursement from Medicaid. I hope I made that clear.
Not to me. It sounds like a pretty tricky one, you know.
Well, that's the truth of the matter is the gas well's there. It's a great gas well. Donnie Cotton had offered to hook it up, I think, for around $100,000. We can't make money by doing that because it ends up taking money away from our reimbursements because we're saving money in the heating bill at the county home. And I hope I made it clear. I hope that answers your question, but that's absolutely a great question.
There you go, caller. You can't do it because the county would lose money equal to the amount of gas you use from Medicaid. Is that
That's
in a
how
nutshell?
it works. That's how it works.
Okay, Fred.
Do we have another caller? I want to.
Is that other caller there? No.
But one thing I want to address that has been discussed, and I just want to lay it out to people. The county cannot sell real property without 17 votes with a 25-member legislature. There is one thing that we could do. We could pass a local law with just 13 votes to sell real property with just 13 votes.
You mean just do away with the super majority?
Exactly.
Just do it with only a half?
But that is subject to permissive referendum. So what that would mean, if we did do that, a group could go out and get signatures, put it on the ballot in November. It wouldn't be a resolution to sell the county home, but it would be a resolution and a local law that would be approved. It only takes 13 votes to sell real property. I lay that out there because it has been talked about. The one reason that a lot of us feel that might be an option is because we feel there's a tremendous amount of county-wide support across the county to sell that facility and enhance it. But it wouldn't come up till the November election because it would be voted on to be placed on the ballot if it came to a permissive referendum. I doubt that people would just let us pass as a legislature to sell real property for just 13 votes.
Even though the law is you have to have a supermajority, 60.
That's the law right now. You're exactly right, and that was probably put in place for good reason.
Yeah.
You know, but let's hope it with the resolution was back up next month. There's been some more positive feedback. Mr. Barmore, I know, is doing a tremendous amount of research. I know Mr. Vince Horrigan has, and I can look at you folks and say, listen, I want those questions answered too. I want my loved ones or myself taken care of. I want to know how bed sores are treated. I want to know how patients are handled. We all have that concern. We have a gem in the North County, but it's just costing us so much money every day that something has to change. And we just can't do the things that we need to do as a county to enhance that.
All right. You voted against, you voted to sell it, right?
I voted to sell it,
Yeah.
and I've had feedback on both sides. I respect the discussion. I think it's great to have this discussion, and that's where we are.
Okay. You had another point there you wanted to make.
Well, I just want to bring up a couple things. I know time goes, but
yeah, well, that's okay. We got 22 and a half minutes.
The Mayville area is going to have a speaker at Chautauqua Suites on the redevelopment of Mayville, and the area people are asked to come. We've got Mr. Harry Zuckerman, who is paid for by the IDA. This stems from a meeting with Marty Bova a few weeks ago, your village mayor here, and the IDA. That's at February 20th from 7:30 to 8:30 at the Chautauqua Suites. Come discuss about things about your village.
Okay, again, what's the date?
February 20th, 7 o'clock to 8:30. That's a Wednesday. I've notified Ken Shear from the chamber. But what do you folks want to do here in Mayville with your village?
Let's redevelop it. Oh, you got a couple of calls.
That's fine. We'll take them because we got a lot to cover. But I know John Patterson, my mayor in Sherman, will be over. We asked people to come hear Harry Zuckerman. Sure, it's about Mayville, but it's about redevelopment of your villages. It's about economic development. It's about taxes. It's about employment. And he is a well-known economic development consultant, and we've got the opportunity to have him here in Mayville with the help that Marty Bova gave myself and the IDA, and the IDA is paying for the guy to come.
Caller, thank you for waiting. You're on right now.
Yeah. Fred.
Yes.
I got a question for you. Can you update the people here on the any news on the how much money they're going to spend on the lake and improving the lake?
Oh man, I'm glad you. That's on my agenda. This is great. We're working. Keith Alstrom and I have been. We started out meeting with Lyle Haidu. We've kept Don Emhart abreast because, as you know, Don Emhart is the chairman of the intermunicipal committee, because we really have two groups now working towards doing something with Chautauqua Lake. We've got a submerged aquatic vegetation study that will be released probably in July. But we have met, Keith and I and Lyle have met with Kathy Young and Senator Young, or Assemblyman Goodell, to see what we can set up as far as around the lake for some.
They gave $100,000 to us.
Well, they did, and they're going to try to do that again this year. But they both made it clear, we do not want another layer of government, okay? We do not want another taxing entity. Very clear. So we go to the next step. The next step is meeting with a group like the IMC with Don Emhart, CLMC with Lyle Haidu, and we're going to set up some kind of a private-public partnership. And I hope to meet this week. I know the IMC and the CLMC have discussed it.
All these, what's IMC?
IMC is the intermunicipal, well, it's a group of towns around Chautauqua Lake, headed up by Don M. Hart as the town of Chautauqua supervisor. And they're working on their own little projects of the lake. 13, I think there's 13 entities around Chautauqua Lake. CLMC.
Caller, I wish you'd throw your shoe at that TV set.
but the point is, we're working towards, we want to roughly define the lake watershed and structure. We want to further refine the watershed management structure. We want to fine tune the markets and economic development. We want to establish some kind of entity to oversee the lake, and we want to create some kind of marketing. Because
how about spraying the weeds? Are they going to do that anymore?
The local folks won't let you do it.
Well,
Very simple.
I'll only say this. When this emerged aquatic vegetation study does come out, there may be something in there about spraying. That's one thing that in my district I will probably not do. There may be parts of the lake that maybe are sprayed, but we also want to have a group of scientific data people giving us guidance on what to do. Because there'll be dredging issues. We're still going to continue to cut weeds. That's the only thing we can do.
Mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn.
Right back.
But I will say, I wouldn't doubt, but what we see something in there with the use of herbicides. Because Burtis Bay, I just throw this out too, when you pull into the Bemis Bay for the floating stage activities, I think you'd like to see that area weed free. Now, if that's possible through dredging, which costs a lot of money, or it's possible through spraying, that is probably going to be an option. Shoreline cleanup, this sort of thing. But
actually, the Bell does a better job of cutting the weeds around the Mayville Park than the.
And you're probably right. Yes.
Caller, hold on. We'll be right with you. We got another call.
Okay, thank you.
But I hope that's helped you.
Yep, thank you.
Great question.
Good.
Okay.
You do a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. You going to get out there and mow some weeds too, or what? What do you do? You know, they say if everybody in the county would go out and just cut some weeds down or pull them up, uproot them, you could probably do it.
All I can say is the CLA has done a great job of that, and that right now is their only option, and thank God we have them.
Maybe there's no answer. Who knows? Atomic bomb, maybe.
Well, the algae, here again, the algae bloom, I'll touch on that. Town of Chautauqua sewer facility, they're starting to treat for phosphorus.
Yeah,
they hope to reduce the levels.
Right.
So, folks, we're in tune with the lake. Okay. We're in tune how precious it is to everyone in this county.
It brings in a lot of income.
And we've got some great people working with us. We've also got the county planning department on board. So you're going to see more and more of the lake issues coming up in the next couple months.
Okay. Former caller, second caller, you're finally on. You're on.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you. And you're off the subject I wanted to talk
about. The lake?
I do have a question. It concerns the county home.
Okay.
As I understand it, knowing someone that works there hasn't been a lot of back and forth between the county and the union on things that could be done and so forth, and it just kind of sounds like it's kind of the legislators have made up their mind they don't want to have the county home, while if you look at the stats, the people of the county want the county home to stay here.
Especially the seniors do.
Well,
I got to be careful with Frederick.
We're close.
No, we wanted to stay here too. I mean, that's not, we're not, we want to save the county home. I can look right in that camera and tell you, we want to save the county home. There's not a legislator on that legislature.
Well, if we want to do it, then we can do it.
So.
There's numbers will help to make it happen.
Okay, thank you, caller, for your input. New caller, you're on. Hello? New caller went away.
Well, maybe they'll call back.
Sure. Hello there, caller. You on? I don't hear her.
Yes, good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Yes, the Center for Governmental Research, which has done many studies on nursing homes in New York State, and it has a 100-year record of making good recommendations, made recommendations for enhancements, for financial enhancements at the home. Why have the legislators not implemented those? Why have they not demanded that those be put into place so that we can better fiscally enhance the viability of the Chautauqua County nursing home. It appears to me that it's being undermined deliberately. Are you familiar with those recommendations, and can you explain why they haven't been implemented?
Well, I tell you, they're being implemented as we speak. I know one thing was the iPads to keep track of stuff, and I know I am not on that committee, but I do know there's 3 or 4 different recommendations they're being implementing as we speak. But it just cannot overcome the loss of $8,000 a day. That's
repeated over and over, and I'd like to see how that can be substantiated when you can only justify the IGT input, because the deficit cannot be attributed, the county deficit, according to Mr. Barmore, cannot be attributed to the county home. It's coming from somewhere else. Where is that deficit coming from?
The overall county deficit is just not coming from just a home of our, 20% tax increase we may have. The deficit for the county home is all based on county home, and we have put IGT funding back in there again, but there's only enough IGT funding in there, and that's taxpayers' dollars too, to last through June of 2014. But I can assure those things in that report are being implemented. I talked to Tim Hellwig. That's a better question for him. We've looked at all that, and as far as the employee negotiations, I can't really comment on that. All we do is vote up or down on a contract, but I can tell you, Mr. Edwards and his team have been negotiating with the county home employees. Where they're at, I don't know. That's a better question for Mr. Edwards, because we cannot comment on that. We're not negotiating.
I hear there's not too much information flowing out of his office.
The Center for Governmental Research maintains that the county home actually has a small surplus, and of course it does have a $5 million fund balance, which would be in the hands of the county executive should the home be sold.
Well, and I can tell you this, I can also tell the Center for Governmental Research came up that there was no way the county home could make money, and that's also in that report, and depends on how you want to read it.
Well, thank you, caller, for your input. We'll continue talking about this probably next time Fred shows up.
Oh, we sure will. We sure will.
Thanks again. We got more callers. You want to take another call? Or you want
I'll take lots of calls. I just want to make sure Chautauqua Lake was mentioned. On NBC today, for those people that are not aware, that we've had a major fishing tournament here in Chautauqua Lake this summer. On NBC at 1 o'clock will be the grand finale. So people watch it, because I am so excited about what's been going on with the fishing tournaments, with Chautauqua Lake, the county. I spent last Thursday with Snowgoer Magazine, and they were in our county for 3 days. There was a group took them Sherman Finney Lake on Tuesday, a group took them on Wednesday to Stockton, that area. I had 2 good friends of mine. I went to the Boswell Hill area on Thursday. We gave them a great tour. They were here, they stayed at Webb's. They'll be doing their article for the next fall's edition of the Snowgoer Magazine, and I just want to personally thank the landowners and the snowmobile people that made this happen.
I'm one of them.
Yep, and I appreciate that sincerely. We could not, and that fellow said to me, he says, Chautauqua County is just a hidden secret.
It's the French said as they came through here in their journals
yes,
1,000 years ago.
And he was so impressed. I was in Cherry Creek. He said every community I go to, there's welcome signs for snowmobilers.
Yeah.
I says, because that's the icing on the cake for a lot of these tourism businesses. So I wanted to get that in. Next caller.
Okay, caller, you're on.
Yes, I too would like to speak a little bit about the county home. Well, I understand that the county is not going to make money on the county home. I don't think that as a county facility that is really the emphasis. I understand we don't want to lose money, but making money is not necessarily the emphasis. However, I do believe that there are other things in the county that are draining our resources as well, 2 of which are the landfill and the airport. And airports, and I'm wondering how much county funding goes into those projects, and are we looking at trying to make a profit on those or selling those also eventually to rid the taxpayers of the costs, or not support the airports for the costs? I support the county home because I know that it is a good facility, and I have seen plenty of nursing home facilities that have given poor care to our elderly, and I think our people deserve more in this county. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think that, I think if as much effort had been put into finding ways to keep the home, grant writing, new programs at the home, things that would help to sustain it, instead of all the effort that's been made by the legislators and the county executive to sell it, I think it might have been more viable.
Well, thank you, caller.
Well, thank you, and I'll just touch on the fact.
I want to make
Yeah,
one comment.
go ahead.
The nitty-gritty
You're the man.
is that we're going to lose, eventually, a huge number of Medicaid beds, meaning the indigent seniors will no longer have a place to go, and they will be repatriated all along the other hundreds of them. You're on.
Well, I just want to say I appreciate that, and we want to see it happen too. But even as little as 2 years ago with the Medicaid reimbursements and what, the county home was making money. There was a time years ago the county borrowed money from the county home. But things change, and when they change, they don't always change for the positive. As far as the airport, ma'am, and anybody listening, I wish we could sell it. You know, and one of the things all legislators have gotten into, and down the road many years, when you take government fundings to keep those airports open, there's a little price tag in there and a commitment to renew the contract for the next several years. And but I tell you, there's not a legislator out there that wouldn't try to sell the airports if we could really sell the airports. And it really comes down to the fact that we're stuck with them. We're just managing them the best we can. Dunkirk is making some money through private contractors. There's also an individual there. We collect sales tax on sales of planes through the Dunkirk airport. So, ma'am, we're with you. The landfill has made money, especially with the cogeneration. Hasn't made a lot, but it has made money. So I hope I touched on those two issues for you.
Yeah, they tried to sell a landfill years ago.
Years ago they did.
Boy, it just barely got through and kept it. Incidentally, that great legislature we had later, you remember his name? Bill Parment is the one who bought it, and it's the largest one that's unused in the whole northern United States now.
And we've only got 7 minutes left.
And we're running out of time, but is there a caller still? Okay, fine. The caller hung up. Okay, Fred, you have 7 minutes, and she's still there. Okay, good morning, caller.
Shoot.
Hello. Are you still there? Hello? Nah, nobody's there.
Well, if she comes back, we touched on the gun bill. I've introduced a motion. I spent 3 days last week in Albany. We covered lots of things, all the way from economic development to the gun law to public safety issues. I'm also on the state blue ribbon task force for agriculture, and we could go in on that because I've got lots of things I haven't been able to get in. But the point is, with this gun law, I have introduced a motion to our county, which you'll be hearing more about, to repeal it. As Reed said, it was done in the darkness of the night. It was composed and voted on in about 6 hours. We're finding out as late as last week at NISAC, which was a meeting I was at with County Executive Edwards and Bill Daly, very honored to go, that you probably were aware that in the bill, the hospitals were supposed to taking care of reporting on the mentally ill people. That's not going to happen. That's a liability for the hospitals, so now they've redirected it to being taken care of by your county health department. That's number one. Number two, there was no exemptions whatsoever, as Reed said, for sheriff and state police people. Number three, with this renewal of your gun permits by the state police, they may do it, but it will be recorded and taken care of and kept track of by the County Clerks Association. Probably no one else knew that. And then last but not least, the County Clerks Association has come out, which is in my resolution, opposing this gun law and repealing it. The State Sheriff's Association has come out and wanted it repealed. I will say this, in talking to a judge yesterday in Sherman, there are some things in the gun bill which are probably good. And we have the utmost sympathy for those people at Sandy Hook. It's not about that. There was a terrible thing that happened there. It should never have happened there. But by the same token, the other concern in the bill is, I don't mind telling people I have a pistol permit, but we cannot let people do FOILs and publish the names of the pistol permit holders in Chautauqua County. That, in my estimation, is one of the worst parts of the act, because if I have a mentally ill neighbor that cannot get a gun, he knows that I have one. I don't care who knows I have one. But by the same token, there are many, many, many people in this county and across this state that do not want to have their name published as being pistol permit holders. With all this is said and done, it isn't going to be enacted till March, I believe, of 2014. It's time to repeal it. It's time to sit down. Any other law, you would have had public hearings on it, for Lord's sakes. You just don't shove this through. It was a very, very bad piece of legislation. Thank heavens that Senator Young and Andy Goodell voted against it. Let's do it right. Let's get it repealed, Governor. Sure, you beat Obama to the punch. Big deal. It's bad legislation. But as I said,
Fred, in a nutshell, it's bad legislation, and I hope that the people that are challenging it in court will be successful. In the meantime, Fred, let me see your gun you carry.
I don't have it with me. But I tell you, I am a member of the Sheriff's Mounted Division. We are issued pistols, and I carry that when I ride my horse. I also have a couple pistols of my own.
Sure, of course. Everybody up here has one.
But the one the sheriff issues us has 16 bullets in the clip.
Yeah, that's a common Glock has 16 bullets.
Now you've got to exempt the sheriff deputies and the state police from that.
That's crazy. The bill was just totally disgusting, and they're probably not going to repeal it because all the downstaters in New York City want it. And basically, it's attacking long arms. And as I mentioned before, Andy Goodell told us that the number of people killed in New York City, and there are thousands of them, of course, with long arms, 0 in the whole state. 5 with long arms. So what is this all about? This craziness. All right, Fred, you're down to the last minute. Uninterrupted, this is your time. Go.
No, I just also want to make people aware, as I said on a session with the state budget, there's some things coming down there. The state budget, I think, will be approved prior to April 1st. They discussed it at NISAC. That I guess Passover's into this year, so I wouldn't be surprised that we see a state budget by March 21st, 22nd. I'm urging my fellow legislators, people involved in elected positions, school districts, money in New York State is just drying up. New York State hasn't got a lot of money. And anything that we can agree on as elected officials, whether it be county schools, schools particularly, there's a lot of schools as well as counties that are almost insolvent now. Think what will happen if we don't get our act together. So I will say I will be part of this conversation. We'll work together on things we can agree on. We're out of here. Okay, buddy.
They're throwing us off the air. Thank you. Fred Crosscut, county legislator, and you led the county for a number of years, as a matter of fact. Fred, thank you very much for taking your time, giving your time up, and your beautiful wife, bringing her along here to keep us company.
It's my secret over there.
Yeah.
And I look forward to coming back.
Okay, great. I want to thank Chuck Kelsey, Devin Taylor, Chris Bird, Randy Burt, Chris Ramaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, John Hamels, all our crew who are making this show possible. Sorry the last caller we didn't get you in, but I'm sure Fred will be back soon. And you'll have a chance to ask him your question. In the meantime, may all that is proud and true and noble abide with you. I'm Reed Powers.